G'day, battlers! And today we are back with one of the, if not the best battler in the entire world, Doonebug97. Now, Doonebug is a man who does not need any introduction. I mean, look at those two things up there. Like, directly above me, he finished Season 3 of Silph Arena as the #1 ranked battler in the entire world, legend rank, and obviously #1 in the world comes along with the #1 in the USA. And then over there, you know, #1 on the Go Battle League leaderboards, and you've been #1 a handful of times. And am I forgetting anything, Doone? Was there something else that?
Maybe I just won a certain tournament.
Oh, yeah, that's right. World champion Doonebug97 is gracing with this presence, which is absolutely huge achievement, and taking it from a fellow Mazer teammate, Speediest Chief. So Mazer's doing pretty well, but straight away, I do want to say before we get into it, if you do want to skip to any particular section in this video, I'm going to have the progress bar filled with all the timestamps. If you want to skip to Doonebug spilling all the secrets about how he happens to be so good, you can skip straight to that bit, because we're going to be extracting every single thing we can out of this guy, this best battler in the entire world. But Doonebug, I mean, how's it going? I've rattled on enough.
Oh, pretty good. I had a nice week off from basically doing factions and all that, like much deserved.
Yeah, I saw Panic's post that was saying that Doonebug's well earned a week off. We can kind of sit back and soak in all of those World Championship vibes, because, I mean, it is like the biggest tournament of the season. It was only a week ago.
It really was.
Yeah, which, I mean, hasn't been long. So is it kind of starting to settle in about where you kind of are?
Yeah, I think later on this past week definitely started to settle in.
Yeah, because I mean, not only does it come with all of the fame and glory, the crown on your head, but it also comes with that target. So, I mean, as we go into Season 4, there's definitely going to be some people gunning for you. But, I mean, we'll jump right into it. And I'm kind of, the first thing I'm sort of curious about is how you kind of, I guess, got here. Obviously, you are now the world champion, but at some point, you're a guy who had never battled in a PvP before, never heard of Silph Arena. So, how did you kind of, I mean, take us through your journey a little bit through Silph Arena, maybe just kind of going through seasons 1 and 2, because obviously season 3 has been an absolute blast, an absolute just destruction of everything on Team Doonebug. But yeah, kind of take us through those first few seasons in Silph and how you got into it all.
Yeah, so my start in Silph, I started right at the beginning of season 1. I was actually in my junior year of college up in rural Vermont. So the first tournament I participated in, I had to make like a 1-hour drive to compete in like a 4-round tournament. And that was the first ever tournament I played in, and not surprisingly, I swept it.
Killer from the start, man.
But season 1 wasn't the greatest for me, because in my regional tournament, I actually went 1-4. No one would ever believe that, but you can see it on my silk card. I went 1-4 in my first ever regional tournament. I got destroyed.
Were you, so obviously you swept your first one. Were you a very high contender in like the next cups leading up to that regionals as well? Like,
yeah, I actually went positive in every tournament leading up to regionals, and then regionals happened, and nope, it just wasn't happening that day.
fair enough. I mean, not everyone can hold a 100% win rate all of the time, but I mean, obviously, you know, I think I also myself, I didn't do as well in the first regionals as I hoped, but kind of going forward from that, did you do you feel like you then got better and better as the season progressed, or were you kind of always just like sort of top of the pack, this sort of positive, someone that everyone had to fear a little bit?
I wouldn't say I was really top of the pack. I was probably more like upper middle of the pack in season 1. After regionals, that's when I started to watch King, and I have to give so much credit to him because he's shown so much content that's helped me learn what I've learned in my career, and I brought that into season 2, and just been all uphill from there.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, season 2 was another one where you actually did incredibly well in that season. Obviously not as well as season 3, but I mean, season 2, I guess a sort of similar question. How did you feel like your skill sort of progressed as the season went on? Like, were you getting better every single month? Or?
Yeah, I would definitely say I got better every month as I kept learning new strategies by watching King's videos. and other content creators like here and there. But mostly, I have to give credit to King Ivy. He's the pinnacle of all the PvP content creators.
He was certainly a pioneer in the space in terms of getting PvP content
Definitely.
going. But I guess season 2 also brought with us the introduction of GBL at the same time. So, I mean, obviously, again, you turned out to have done pretty well in Go Battle League as well. How did you kind of approach the whole battling in both Silph and GBL at the same time? Like, did you find yourself prioritizing one over the other, or were you just kind of going ham, doing as many battles as you could every single day?
So GBL like basically started, I think, when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic started, I had plenty of time on my hands to do both. So I would say I definitely went hard in both formats. And GBL has certainly helped me improve in some aspects too, like trying to predict what's in the back of some teams and reading team comps.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, Go Battle League, because there's these sort of different skills you have to apply, but you can apply them back to Silph, as you kind of just said, and it's kind of, I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of go, like, I just play Silph, so I'm just going to get better at Silph, but, I mean, as you said, Go Battle League can sort of teach you extra things that you may not have considered so much in the Silph arena, but, I mean, moving ahead a little bit, I mean, you were the first ever Go Battle League legend, like the first person in the world.
Yeah, that was unimaginable for me to be the first ever legend. And funny thing is, I actually hit legend the day before my birthday on Christmas Eve.
Oh my gosh, that's a week.
Yeah, that is what a birthday and Christmas gift that was.
Yeah, and I think, going off memory a little bit here, I think on the very last day of that month, 31st of December, you were simultaneously #1 on Silph and Go Battle League. Is that right?
I believe so. Yeah, I was.
So, yeah, I'd say
yeah,
pretty
season
decent
3, like, especially starting 27-1 in season 3, I think I just definitely set the tone for the season.
Yeah, I saw you did a short little interview on the Silph Arena channel with Ty, and
Yes.
you mentioned in that, like, you had a 27-1 win rate in Sunrise, and I think, if I've got my numbers right, in Marsh Cup you that were then, still 29-3. You were still like 35 and 3 or 4 in Marsh as well. Like, pretty good start, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely agree with that.
Actually, from that video as well, you actually mentioned that your goal for season 3 was to make it to Worlds and then win Worlds. And
Actually, my original goal wasn't to win Worlds. It was just to make it. Because I wanted to, my goal, beat my accomplishments from the season before. And I just fell short of reaching Worlds in season 2. So I wanted to reach it in season 3.
Yeah, so how did that sort of go in terms of the Continentals in season 2? Like, I remember that you had to face off against the eventual world champ Speediest Chief too.
Yes.
How did that all sort of work and go?
So I remember in the initial tournament where, like, the one where the top 8 would advance, I actually barely sneaked into the top 8 based on battles won and global rank. Being like, I was #1 in the US, so any US person that was tied with me in battles won, I would advance over them.
So it turns out that it does pay off to do real well in the Silph season.
Yes, it does.
And that actually does kind of bring me to my next sort of question a little bit, because in terms of this year's Continentals, the Season 3 Continentals, it was very different in terms of there were a lot of other ways that you could qualify. So I believe you actually qualified to Continentals through 4 different methods. So
Yes.
first of all, actually, can you just take us through the 4 different ways you qualified?
So I participated in my regional. Like, I actually didn't win regionals, surprisingly, which people would be shocked about. But I still qualified. Because I came in second. Because it was more than 16 people in the regional. I won the Silph Showdown where I went 20-1.
Cracked. Absolutely cracked. And then, of course, you were, the US global leaderboard.
US #1, and then top in the global rank.
Yeah, because you got a Continentals invite if you were #1 specifically on the leaderboard, and then they gave out, like, I'm not sure what the exact number was, say like 50 or so.
I think it was like top 20 or something.
Yeah, okay.
Top maybe top 50.
Yeah, in the world. So you qualified to Continentals through 4 different ways, but you didn't actually get to participate. So can you kind of,
No,
yeah,
unfortunately.
kind of take us through what it sort of felt like at the time when it was like, uh, were your dreams kind of crushed at that point? Had it been announced yet that Worlds had another sort of path to get
Actually,
there?
technically, at the beginning of the season, in the original season announcement, they did say that Worlds was going to include other top battlers.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of was like anxious when I learned I couldn't participate in Continentals because of work requirements.
Yeah, but there was the thought in the back of your mind that other top battlers might
That
mean
this
that
magical run was over.
oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, being number one in the world, I think you were number one through that sort of entire span at the
Yes,
end.
I was.
There was definitely the hope that other top battlers getting an invite to Worlds might mean that you would get the chance.
I was actually surprised to see how expansive the format was this year. I did really like it how they did that, basically giving other top battlers a second chance to make it to the finals.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, the way that World Prelim sort of worked is that the top 4 battlers in each of the regions, so the top 4 in North America, the top 4 in Latin America, Europe, and APAC, they were all invited to these sort of World Prelims rounds, and it ended up with 4 people progressing out of that World Prelims to the World Finals to fight up against the Continental champions. And obviously, Doonebug was one of the one. Actually, on this channel, we showed those battles, which absolutely
No,
you were a crazy battler, by the way. Like just watching all of your battles through the World Prelims, through the World Finals, you were really good. I'm not sure if you realize that.
honestly, throughout the season, I still had doubts about my skills, and I honestly didn't feel like I accomplished anything until I won it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everyone from the sidelines definitely. I mean, obviously, it's you. You know what. You have some ideas about what you sort of accomplish, where your bar is set. Obviously, from the outset of the season, you were like, I want to get to Worlds. And you did mention that video, the potential for winning as well. But like, not a lot of people set their bar at Worlds. So I think it's you do have to give yourself a little bit of credit for like being that good. That's where your goals are.
Funny thing is, I actually barely finished like a sliver short of legend last year too. I was like one sliver short of hitting legend too. And that was also another one of my goals this year, which I definitely easily accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, as number one, if there was going to be a legend, there's got to be at least Doonebug in the tier. But that is actually a really interesting question because I think it's something that doesn't get talked about very much in terms of actually gaining rank. But the weighting system, you need to like sort of play it right a little bit to maximize your gain so that you could potentially get that little
Yes.
sliver or not. So obviously, we haven't got the information at the time of us talking now about how season 4 is going to work. But if we assume that it's going to be similar to season 3, where you have your 6 ranked tournaments, you can pick one as a times 10, but you have to pick it like before it finishes. How did you kind of approach the weighting system to make it work for you?
So basically, all the tournaments I did were like 48-hour tournaments. So if I felt like I was doing really well in the tournament, I would keep that box checked. And then if it was a 6-1 or 7-0, I would just wait it.
Yeah, okay. So it's not just a case of I am just doing 7 round tournaments and that will get me the maximum career. It's an extra
Well,
step.
I did.
Of
I
it.
did
Yeah.
only do. I did target 7 rounders this season, but the thing is, for next year, I do hope they change the weighting system because if in-person tournaments come back, then that weighting system will kill them because people are going to want to hunt 7 rounders like I did this season.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a bit of a question about when they may come back. I think a few months ago, I and a lot of other people were a little bit more hopeful that we were about to, like, we're on the verge of getting in-person tournaments. And then
Yeah.
we saw some sort of graph rocket back through the moon.
You could say it was a Delta X,
You could say something like that.
change in the x-axis, or no, it's a Delta Y, change in the y-axis because
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah, not a good time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything sort of calms down a little bit, and we may see some in-person stuff coming back in season 4. How did you kind of?
I really hope so.
Yeah, do you approach online tournaments and in-person tournaments differently? Like I think for in-person tournaments, because as you said, for online, you tend to do those more 48-hour tournaments. Do you prefer that as a battler, or do you prefer the more in-person, everyone's kind of on this even playing field?
I like it in person so much better. It's just the interactions, the actual in-person interactions with people that you have. It's nothing beats it. Nothing at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that incredibly, and I would have liked to have come over and met some people over the last year and a half, but obviously not something that...
hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. But we're talking about Worlds a little bit. It was a really unique format that had 8... You had to bring 8 Pokemon, and each round you had to ban 2 of the other Pokemon. So how did you kind of... I think we talked a little bit on that Worlds final stream about how you sort of approached it, but I mean, just how did you approach building that team of 8 Pokemon? And then how would you maybe change that approach if it's a format that sort of comes back in the future?
I honestly think the approach I went with worked out perfectly, obviously. but I feel like the best approach is definitely to make a bunch of different cores that can be viable even if stuff gets banned. So no matter what happens, you'll still be able to run the Pokemon you still feel comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's actually one of the things that a lot of people, myself included in some ways, actually got a little bit from Go Battle League as well, that cores are a really important thing.
Yes, that definitely is another aspect of Go Battle League that helped me with this format.
I mean, being an open Great League tournament, were you bringing in those picks that you happen to like from Go Battle League and like, I know these two work together against everything?
Yeah, Licky Tongue was very fun to use. It's the best safe swap in Go Battle League, in my opinion. Yeah, like, I mean, even against stuff like Medicham, it can actually beat it in the Zero Shield.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy.
I feel like Medicham was the most popular fighter in the World's Finals as well. I mean, no, go figure.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But going into the World's Finals, obviously you came out victorious from the World Prelims, and the bracket was released a few days earlier, and you were matched up against Ventuski.
Less than 48 hours to prepare.
Yeah, that actually. How did you sort of feel about that sort of the fact that World Prelims ended on the Friday and then World Finals were on the Sunday? Like I imagine the dates might have been squished a little bit because of the delay from the original month to September.
Well, the thing is, they did announce the format for World Finals like in further back in advance.
Yeah.
So I kind of was starting to brainstorm some stuff just in case I did make it.
Yeah, it is just
starting to get some ideas. Yeah.
Because there were 16 of you in the World Prelims, and only 4 were going to progress. So
I know.
It was a little bit rough, so I'm hopeful
it was definitely very stressful.
Did you
especially once I saw the other teams? I was actually most nervous about my match against Stone Collection because that Cofagrigus was so safe against my team that I was just like, that thing is going to destroy me, and I still somehow pulled out the 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, they were some of the tightest battles in the set. Cofagrigus actually did show itself as a really interesting Pokemon, and I'm actually a little bit curious. I do think that Stone Collection may have brought that into the tournament as a bit of a no one quite knows how this works. Like, it's going to be a little bit side grade. People might not have the exact counts and whatnot sort of nailed down. Obviously, I'm sure you've got every count.
I actually used it before in GBL because I had a really good one too. Like, that I was holding on forever since the last Halloween event, and it gave me an idea of like how it plays.
Yeah, okay. One of the other benefits of that Go Battle League, I suppose, and it being a sort of open Great League-ish sort of a Great League remix-ish meta as well. Kind of let's Go Battle League be a bit of a better sort of practicing ground. But going into World Finals, as you've come out of World Prelims 3-0, you had to face Ventuski in the very first round, which was quite possibly, I think, the most hyped matchup in the entire first round.
Definitely.
So how did you feel knowing days in advance that was maybe a day in advance? I can't remember exactly when they put the bracket out.
Or like 36 hours, I think.
Yeah. So in that 36-hour period, how did you sort of attack the, oh heck, I'm up against Ventuski?
I actually watched them film. I watched the recap of his prelims to get an idea of his playstyle, and from my previous match against him in the showdown, I kind of had an idea of how he likes to play. So studying film was definitely a big key to victory for me.
Yeah, and that was actually. I was going to say, well, some people are saying that there might not be quite an even playing field in that regard because the Continentals were filmed like, ages ago, and the world prelims were only on like the Friday, or the streams actually happened on the Saturday. So they had to be a bit more.
Recaps happened technically before World started. So
yeah, so they had to be a bit more proactive.
It was good to study up, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I learned from watching that film was that he really likes to farm up a lot of energy. And that actually cost him in that game one we had. But when the Licky Tongue versus the Swampert, he farmed way over the power whip and allowed me to get 2 Hydro Cannons.
Yeah.
And that basically flipped that game.
Yeah. I do remember that. Did you then swap out of that matchup and then kept...
I went to G-Fisk, yeah, because I knew G-Fisk was really safe with my bands.
Yeah, that's actually kind of really cool to hear, that ability to sort of take someone's strategy and then play against it in that sort of way. It's sort of it's very high level stuff, essentially. And
it's what they do in pro sports. Like they watch film to get strategies of the other teams. That's how you win a competition.
Yeah, this may be a bit of a stepping back sort of meta-ish question, but how, if Ventuski was watching your film and figuring out how you battled, do you think that you can identify what your current biggest weakness is? Like what you currently need to improve the most in your battling? Or are you just a, perfect robot that, sometimes makes mistakes?
I would definitely say like there are probably weaknesses that people will find, but I'll have to work on finding that myself. And I'm not going to reveal anything because obviously I don't want people to figure out like my exact play style.
Yeah, no point saying
against
hey,
me.
The chink in my arm is right here. Everyone target here. I mean, yeah, as you said, I'm sure it'll things that as now the champion, the number one in the world, you've definitely got time to sort of realign yourself, figure out where you go from here. Because this, in some ways, this is like the peak. Like you've truly topped everything you could possibly top. I mean, how many times have you hit number one on the Go Battle League leaderboard, let alone the Silph leaderboard? Like, it's.
I'm not sure if you've seen like JJan's like GBL like rankings throughout every season, like that he posts after each season finishes. Like, I think I'm number 2 on the overall leaderboard there.
Yeah, you're one of the only few battlers left that have been on the leaderboard every single season.
Every day since it came, since it started, like since season 6 started.
Ridiculous. You are cracked, my friend. You're absolutely cracked. Really crazy stuff. But a bit of a different question. In round 3 of the World Finals, there was obviously that game that you were in a really good spot up against Andrew, like a pretty good spot. There was only sort of one way that Andrew could win, and that was by catching a move at this one particular time. And I think Speedy's Chief talked about it a little bit on the stream, that you could obviously identify the fact that you would wait for them to start their fast move, because then you would be able to throw the charge move before it happened. But obviously, you can't really. I mean, as the Silph's tournament staff, you can't sort of apply. You can't assume that you're both going to play perfectly. So you have to recognize that there was a win condition there, so they had to sort of grant a rematch. How did you sort of feel in the moment? I imagine it was a very stressful moment, to say the least.
Yeah, I was definitely frustrated because I felt like I had that one, definitely, because to be honest, there's no way he's catching a move against me. No way. Absolutely no chance. Especially when I have a 2-turn move against his 3-turn bubble. Like, it's so easy to wait for him to throw a bubble.
Yeah, and then I believe you went ahead and actually did lose that rematch match, which put you at a 1-1 spot. Which
that's a case where I feel like the rematch rules should be changed, like with changing the teams. I feel like in that scenario, that's a scenario where the team should have just stayed the same completely, no changing the back line, because it basically took away my chances of playing out out of that bad lead.
Yeah. Yeah, your lineup kind of assisted you in that sense, and I do agree with you that I kind of prefer either the run the exact same team or run completely different teams.
Well, I feel like there are scenarios where you can just use the same two leads, just the same leads. That's if you don't see all three Pokemon.
Sure, sure. I think was that the rules in season one, maybe?
No,
No.
this rule in season one was just straight up use the same teams.
Yeah. Yep. I kind of thought there was a rematch rule at some point that you could use the same leads if you hadn't seen stuff in the back. Maybe it was like a special rule for some particular tournament or something.
I
Or
don't remember.
yeah, I
I
could be
honestly don't
talking out of my
remember
butt. But so you ended up winning that third battle against Andrew, so you were able to progress, which I like.
Barely,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh barely.
That was the closest battle I think of the whole tournament.
I mean,
That third one, because I had to double up on the Shadow Bone with AWAC against that Sableye, and I transferred the Shadow Clod to G-Fisk, which saved the health on my AWAC and allow it to survive the Frenzy Plant.
yeah, I
Like
think
that
that
was
was
insanely close.
oh, ridiculous, and I think that was one of the two games in the tournament. That one and your second game in the finals up against a Shady Equation that were like. The casters just were like, okay, Doonebug's done here. There's nothing to be done. The opponent's got it. And then you just, I kind of said it a few times in the stream as well. You have this sort of way of always knowing that there is this win condition here and sort of just like going straight ahead at it and usually executing it like perfectly, like able to find it. Or as we saw in one of those other games there, end of the world prelims, able to find the tie condition, able to tie the game.
I know. That was insane. The tie right in that one,
Truly just
and
ridiculous.
then beating him with lock-ons before the Dragon Tail applied.
Yep, the Regirock lock-on farm down. Easily my favorite battle, at least the last few weeks. That was truly well done. And then, I mean, going into the finals, there was that second game again up against a Shady Equation where you're Scrafty.
Yeah, farming down the jelly with Scrafty.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And then just sacking the AWAC, knowing that Umbreon was in the back.
Yeah.
Or just go to AWAC and get an energy advantage against whatever's in the back.
Yeah, because his Skarmory was locked in up against your Scrafty, and you were just taking hits, all of this flying damage is applying to you, and then you got one powered up. I think it was a powered up.
One powered up foul play, yeah.
And then
the second one to KO. Yeah. And then punch to win the game.
Truly, just really well played to start. But when you approach a game like that, when you're sort of backed up a little bit in the corner, you've got these calculations going through your head, you're running a number of shady equations, if you will. How do you actually find yourself searching okay, how do I win this game? Or do you sort of have these plans sort of laid out already and are just following the script?
I think in that second game there, that was just I need to figure out something on the fly and hope I can execute it perfectly. And I did.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Does that, so I think that's a skill that most people do not have. They don't have any semblance of your high level ability of being able to identify that win condition. So do you think that that's a strategy or an ability that you've sort of built up over time through specific circumstances? Have you specifically tried to get better at that particular skill, or is it something that's just kind of come with time?
Definitely. I think that's something you need to practice to work on finding those win conditions. Go Valley does help with that in some point, especially because you need to, if you're hard countered, sometimes managing your energy or grabbing shield advantage is the best play.
Yeah, I think Go Battle League is sort of helpful. I've watched a lot of, Caleb Peng videos and whatnot where you've got this one line that works pretty well. And when you get stuck in this sort of hard situations, you have to figure out how you can sort of maneuver around these new picks, these things that might sort of hard counter you. I know back when he was hardcore Silph battling, Ramberto777, me and him did some scrims every now and then. And he liked to run the same three over and over and over.
Yes.
And he would keep beating me, which...
That's why in the pick 8 format, I wanted to use cores that I was very comfortable using, and because I know how those Pokemon play out against certain matchups from GBL,
Yeah.
and that definitely helped me accomplish what I did.
Yeah. Which again, I don't think I can say it enough. Really incredible job, by the way. I don't think I'm not sure if I said it in this recording yet, but congratulations, Doonebug, on becoming the 2021 Silph Arena World Champion. Woo! It's a really, really incredible job.
84 years.
Hey, got there in the end. Got there in the end. But maybe we'll come back a little bit to sort of a broader strategy. Again, not revealing your every way you play the game, but how do you sort of approach building a team of 6? Now, a team of 8 is sort of a different beast, where you had to meddle with bans and whatnot, making sure that you had cores in place, even if another 2 were banned. But in building a team of 6, is that like a sort of simpler mind game for you? Is that just easy, like still do the same cores thing, but easier?
Yeah, I think it's the same fundamental strategy in finding those cores and identifying what's going to be like really strong in the meta.
Yeah, sure. And how often do you practice? Because I think that's one of the most important things in Silph Arena in general. That practice makes perfect. And so how do you kind of attack your practice regime when you enter a new cup?
Yeah, so once a new cup's around, so I'll like spend a week like analyzing the meta Pokemon that expecting to see, and then I'll build a team around that, and then I'll go ask my friends if they want to scrim with teams, showing teams, just to get an idea like how certain matchups will play out, and it just helps me get warmed up for the actual cup.
Yeah. Do you find yourself sort of like having one solid team sort of early on and then just like keep running through it because it's a really good team, or do you sort of fix yourself up during the month or just try out different things?
Yeah, I usually do try to stick with one team once I come up with it, especially because that's how you get better with the team. You learn how to use those Pokemon and just learn each different matchup.
Yeah, just
Even
like
though you might
yeah.
start bad in one tournament, like sometimes you just gotta stick with it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely good advice to not be scared off a good team too quickly. Like I know in the past I've had some rough starts. There's obviously the House Dark strat, lose the first round, continue on to win the
I've
rest.
definitely pulled that off a lot.
Was it? Did someone call it the Doonebug strat, or was someone else losing the first 2 rounds and then rocking it back up? I can't.
No,
No, not
no.
no. Doonebug wouldn't lose 2 rounds in one
The
tournament.
Doonebug strat's a sweep.
Surely you have more sweeps than like non-sweeps at this point. Uh,
I don't know. It might be like I'm not sure. Maybe it's like 40 to 60%, like 40-60 split, like 40% sweeps. I guess. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention.
yeah, well, I think a lot of people are going to be paying even more attention than they already were from this point on. I mean, actually, in that line, I know that you have in season 3 of Silph, you had an 85% match win rate, which means that if you were matched up against someone in a tournament, there was only a 15% chance that you were going to lose. I mean, that's got to be like one of the highest rates in the entire arena.
And so that's played a full season.
Yeah.
I think that's the highest ever. That's played a full season.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and I think if the world champion title doesn't scare people away enough, I think that statistic is a bit of a scary one, knowing that they've only got a 15% shot at beating you.
Also, if you look at like my total battles played, I think that's like I've won like 75% of those. So like
There's-
1 out of every 4 battles, you're statistically you'll have a chance of beating 1 out of 4.
So there's a good chance that Doonebug may be coming out with a 3-0. If you're lucky, a 2-1.
Or a 2-1 at least. At least.
Every
And
second.
like I think I only in this past season I only got 3-0 like 3 times I think total.
Do you remember the culprits?
I not off the top of my head, but I know I've definitely gone 3 a couple times this season.
So some people are going to be crawling through their records going, ah, I was one of them. I 3-0 Doonebug this one time.
Yeah, they know who they are. They know who they are, but I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Erased it from memory. And I think that's one of the things that Speedy's Chief
Definitely,
has
yeah.
certainly had to grapple with over the past season with that target on his
What the
back as the
real?
world champion. um, yeah, I mean, as the world champion, kind of having that expectation of like, oh no, I'm mashed up against world champ Doonebug. Oh, here we go. And then, so I think you may see some more people flaunting when they are able to get a win on you over this next season.
Yeah, definitely.
But have you and him talked at all so far? Obviously, again, we talked a little bit at the end of the World Final stream that Speedy's Chief was a part of. But have you kind of talked to him at all, given you any advice about how to be the world champion over the next year? Is he confident that you've got this?
No, not really. I think he's very confident that I'll be able to handle it myself.
Yeah, as
But to be honest, like I already felt that target just being number one in the world going into Worlds. I already felt that target and felt the expectations to win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember, I think it was FB6 who was talking like a year and a half ago, or even longer actually. It was back when in-person tournaments were a thing. Talking about even just being the number one seed in the tournament. Sort of felt like it had this target on him.
Yeah,
And
because you're going to be on the stream in the first round.
yeah, exactly.
At Mega Tournament.
And I think in his case, I think people were cheering for his opponent because it was sort of like this underdog
Yep.
sort of story. Like, not that anyone like didn't like FV Sticks, like he was still like a really good battle, but people were like, take down the top dog, woo! So just a reminder that people still continue to love Doonebug, even if your opponents are getting a lot of cheers for defeating you as the Titan. We all know that you're a really incredible battler, and will continue to be for some time, I imagine. But that actually does bring it to one question: what now? You've just, you've won season one. Season one's done, season two's done. You've just topped out at season three. You've been number one on the Go Battle League board a million times. You've topped the Silph Arena season three. You're at number one on Silph for like surely most of the season at this point, even if not at the very start. But like, what is the aim now? At the start of season three, you set the aim. I'm going to get to Worlds. You went ahead and got to Worlds and then some. Do you have like an aim now, or are you still sort of figuring that out, or are you just happy to kind of be at the peak?
So let's win it in person now.
All right, that's not a bad aim.
Have the crowd cheering. Have the crowd just going bonkers.
I'm looking forward to it. Maybe.
And also, for real though, I think my ultimate goal is to, when in-person tournaments return, meet new people and help grow the game of PvP to hopefully make it an actual e-sport. Because that's my dream. To compete with my to compete with my Mazer teammates in like actual tournaments for cash, like.
Yeah, I know there's some cash tournaments running around, like the antimatter tournaments and Mazer.
Which I unfortunately haven't been able to participate in because I work on those days.
The timing has been unfortunate so far. I'm confident that eventually we will get a Doonebug friendly tournament going on. But then Mazer's run some tournaments as well. I think they ran two now.
They run two, yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to become more and more of a thing on this scene that I'm definitely looking forward to myself as well. So are you kind of hoping that there might be some potentially factions-esque sort of team tournaments like that as well?
Yeah, definitely. That would be the dream, just to travel the country and maybe even the world.
Hey,
with my team.
I'll be down here in the land down under, ready to await Mazer's presence. You guys can all stay here. I think Speedy's Chief already had plans to stay in this loft. There's room. We'll get you all here. But with that in mind, how do you sort of, I think factions is something we haven't really talked about yet at all. How do you sort of feel about factions? How do you like the sort of these team tournament environments, and how do you prefer them when compared to Silph Arena and Go Battle League? Is like all of these sort of different ways to play the game.
I think factions is easily at the top because team formats is the pinnacle of any type of competitive scene. like in sports in general, like there's always a team. It's always a team format, like in the four major sports here in the states.
Yeah, I know you're a major sportsman.
Yes,
Hoping I'm not talking out of turn that it's the Red Sox. That's
yes.
yes. I did my looking at your Twitter at some point. Um, but how do you as factions being the sort of a big pinnacle, the number one for you at the moment, how do you sort of see yourself attacking the all sorts of commitments that are going to be flying around as time goes on? Like, I'm assuming you're a busy man. I mean, we were supposed to do this a few weeks ago, and it hasn't worked out
Yeah,
until now. So how do you sort of see yourself? Do you see yourself maybe reeling back on some things and going harder into others, or do you see it sort of you'll be able to play them all as you are now?
I'm gonna do my best to play them all, but factions is giving my main priority for sure because I see that as the future of this of PvP in general.
Yeah, I think I saw on Twitter panic posting as well that you guys in Mesa are going 5-0 at the moment in the silver tier.
Yeah, we are 5-0 now after a blowout win without me during my week off.
Don't even need you, Doonebug. Imagine what they'll do when you come back. But are you back in the saddle this week? Is that the plan?
For sure, yeah. Back to work.
Back to work. You've had your 1 week break, but it's back to the grind now. Do you
And my
have?
thing is, during this 1 week break, I was doing actual work, more actual work.
Did you have to take off any work to sort of do all of the worlds and stuff that you maybe have to catch up
No,
on
it
now?
was because it was on a Sunday. I was able to do it perfectly
Yes.
without taking time off work.
Big success. And I think am I right in saying that Silph checked when they first moved the tournaments from July, no, not July, what's the 8th, August to September, that they sort of checked that the time still worked?
I think so. I actually do think so. I think they did check in with me, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember, but
So long ago. Way back,
it
one world
was. It
championship
feels like
title.
a blur now,
But yeah,
especially those minor details like that. Like,
it's good stuff to hear though. But to sort of on factions though, how do you think that, like, how have you managed to get the 5-0 so far? Is it just because you all happen to be cracked, you all happen to be really good battlers, or how do you sort of I don't think it's as secretive in terms of what the strategies are in terms of factions, because I think a lot of people sort of tackle the same sort of way. But if you're willing to divulge, how does Mesa sort of go about approaching factions in that sort of teamish sort of way?
yeah, every time we have a match scheduled, we actually have a Google Calendar set up that with all our factions matched once we have them scheduled, and we try to get into a Discord call with each other and spectate and get feedback on the teams. It's all about working as a team. It's not about individual accolades when it comes to factions.
Yeah, it's kind of a format that allows everyone to make each other better, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's my goal. I want to help make my team better, and they help me make myself better too.
Yeah. Do
Because
you
I definitely feel there are some spots where I can get better for sure.
that we won't tell people just yet to have to figure it out for themselves. So factions is obviously also a format that's got so many different metas going at the same time. You've got the Great League, Ultra League, and Master League specialists, and then at the moment you've got two different field metas that are going on. Do you find yourself sort of like figuring them all out, like thinking about all of them, like even if you're not playing dungeon meta this time around with dungeon or the dungeon field? I'm not sure if it's dungeon field meta or the dungeon battlefield meta.
It's the dungeon field meta, I think.
Yeah, I think it was originally supposed to be battlefields, and then they've sort of turned away from that terminology a little bit. But
I think so because they're called field specialists.
yeah, true. With that sort of coming into play this cycle, do you find yourself sort of learning about the Dungeon Cup so that you can help Dungeon Cup teammates? Or is it a little bit sort of just figured out based on the teams of six, sort of what the matchups are going to be?
Yeah, I can pretend. I can definitely figure out like how matchups could play out with when I see the different teams of six. Like especially my teammates when they have their matchup set up. Uh, I usually try to analyze and see like what's going to be really for them, or what I expect their opponent to bring. to help them prepare for their match.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think stepping back a little bit, and I'm sorry if I'm disorienting you at all by jumping all over the
Yeah,
shop, but I think that one thing, well, a lot of people would like to get better. A lot of people I saw especially expressing as they sort of watched you battle through the world prelims, battle through world finals. Lots of people are like, wow, that guy is good. I want to play like that guy one day. So for the people like me who are scrubbed here, don't know what they're doing in PvP, what do you believe is potentially the one most important thing that we, everyone that isn't Doonebug, everyone below number one in the world, can sort of focus on to become a better battler? Like what's the most important thing that we need to do better at?
study up on energy, on different energy generation for different moves, and learn how much they're going to do, or like learn how fast some moves are going to charge up with different Pokemon. Like go to PvP, look at all the different moves, try to study up on them as much as possible, and that'll help you master counting moves. Because the way I count moves is by calculating the energy that my opponent has in my head, basically. Because I actually do have a big math background from my college, which I think definitely helps with that.
Keeping a bunch of numbers in your head at the same time, doing the quick addition subtraction, pulling out the numbers
Yes.
and that sort of thing. I have zero doubts that you just seem to have this encyclopedic knowledge. Like the way that you've been playing over the last few weeks, just seeing the sort of the perfect timing of all of the throws and the catches. Not only
Yeah,
from yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
definitely. Like I think yeah, definitely timing. I always make sure to time my throws perfectly so that like my opponent has to make a critical decision whether to shield or not.
Yeah, it's all sorts of like, seeing you throw the charge move and meet like charging up energy and then going past that energy, keep going, keep going, keep going, and then throwing right as they get to their charge move, like the turns before it's even a possibility that they could throw. So that again,
Yes.
they have to make that critical decision whether they're going to let this thing come through or whether they're going to let all of their
Intent.
energy burn.
Intent, everyone.
So everyone better watch out, really, because it's also not really something that you can necessarily defeat, because it's something that is just pure skill. And essentially, like in terms of just talking about that game that ended up being a rematch, because it's the first thing that comes to mind. Like
Yeah.
it's not something that he could have necessarily played around against, in the sense that he has to start his bubble at some time, and you as the Doonebug happen to know the count, so you can throw the charge moves at like turn one of this fast move, and there is just essentially nothing they can do about it.
Nope.
I kind of like the fact that I think a lot of people put PvP down for being a game of chance, game of rock paper scissors, or whether you're
Being
gonna
hard
pick
counter,
the
yeah.
or if you're gonna
I basically proved to everyone that says PvP is there's no skill involved in PvP. I basically proved them all wrong.
and then some.
And I would hope to see them get into it after watching my performance because I want to see the game grow.
Yeah, I mean it's. I do hope that people that do end up saying like, oh, this is all RPS, do check out some Doonebug gameplay, because I mean, as you said, I really do think it exemplifies the fact that skill plays such an important part in Pokemon Go PvP. Like it is such I think it's been referred to as a low floor, high ceiling sort of game where you can run in and just tap the screen. You'll be able to win some matchups, and especially in Go Battle League, where it sort of puts you in elo range with similar competitors.
Yes.
It's very clear that skill is an important part, and it's something that people do need to get better at if they want to improve their game, essentially. But shifting gears a little bit again, apologies. So we talked a little bit before about putting those teams of 6 together in wanting to get all these cores sort of fit in, making sure that you're able to sort of play around everything. When you then go to the stage of putting your team of 3 together, based on that team of 6, so you get matched up with an opponent, again, without giving too much away, how do you sort of approach picking those three? Like, is it based more on I'm just picking three Pokemon that I know can do well against this team? Is it picking three Pokemon that I know that this is a good safe swap, this is a good lead? Or is it I want to use this core will be good and I'll work around that?
I feel like there are multiple factors that play into picking your team of three from your six. I feel like the one thing I do take into account the most, what do I expect my opponent to bring against me? I always look and see if there are potential weaknesses on my team, and I try to potentially play around that with the team of three that I bring.
And that's got to be something that sort of helps, like, as you said, keeping that same team throughout the entire month sort of helps you know what your weaknesses are by that point.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
Yeah. And it actually sort of interesting sort of helps out because the way that the sort of Silph system works, how you sort of, as the tournaments go on, you get, in some instances, more difficult opponents as you're being matched up against people who've won more and more matches. And because you're doing these 48-hour round tournaments, it's sort of like as the tournaments go on, you're gaining more experience to take on these like harder bosses.
Yes.
So it's sort of interesting how that works out. I've never really thought about that as a potential option, but I think I might potentially start running some Doonebug strats here going forward. Really trying to learn these teams well and early. I mean, we're presumably only a few days away from an announcement. I think the Silph.
Maybe this week.
Yeah, I think the time frame that they usually had for the months throughout season 3 was days. 7 to 10 days was their quoted window. So we're just about to hit it. So expect it any day now. But what are you sort of hoping to see from the? I mean, I guess the first meta of the season. Like, obviously we've had a lot of metas over this season, but
I would definitely hope to see that showy format. I feel like that's going to be a really fun. That would be a really fun format to debut in the season, like the debut season 4.
Yeah, it's a format again. Like, you really got thrown into the deep end, into the biggest tournament in the entire world with this brand new format that no one had ever played or practiced before, and never before seen. So it's sort of a very interesting format, and I would definitely like to have my hand at giving it a go one time. I wonder if it is going to be used in some Silph Arena monthly metas. Maybe it's going to be kept for special events.
I feel like you will see. I feel like we will see it definitely at some point.
Yeah,
because I feel like a lot of people really like that format. I think everyone that participated in Worlds really had nothing to say but positive things about that format.
Yeah, and the band thing is like pretty manageable as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing layer of strategy.
Yeah, I do think like it really was such a good format for Worlds. Like putting because as you said, there's so many extra layers of strategy. It's the building my team so that it works if the two Pokemon are going to get banned. It's making sure that my two bans are going to make sure my team does well, even if they ban any two particular Pokemon on my team. It's so. I mean, the ceiling is just put through the roof, essentially, as to where the skill can sort of go in that regard. So it's definitely a really interesting one. But in that regard, do you sort of prefer the more open metas, like the World Championships was literally Open Great League. World Prelims was Great League Remix, where they banned 13 Pokemon that were popular in factions. Or do you like more of the Sunrise Cups of the world, where it's 4 typings, the sort of classic Silph Arena? Like, where do you sort of see yourself performing better and enjoying more? Not necessarily the same.
I really can't pick a favorite, to be honest. I go into each month with the same mindset, just attack and go with the same strategies that I've played with in the previous months, and everything. Just use everything I've learned up to that point and put it to work.
And it's worked so far.
No matter the format. So I really can't pick a favorite.
Fair enough. I mean, again, I think for a lot of people, they actually, when you ask someone, hey, what's your favorite cup? I think a lot of people gravitate towards the cup they performed the best in. But
yeah,
you've performed pretty well in a fair few cups over your time. So maybe it's not as easy of a, well, I did pretty good in this one. Although I guess when I asked what you were hoping to see, you mentioned the Bring 8 sort of format, and that is the only cup that you have. I mean, you've got 100% win rate so far. So maybe there is a bit of that at play too. But we'll do have to wait and see in that regard. But I mean, I know you said that as far as what you're sort of hoping to achieve next one, it's just about sort of just raising the bar, helping everyone sort of get into Pokemon Go PvP, all that sort of stuff. Are you shooting for Worlds again? Are we going for round 2?
Hopefully in person this time.
I hope so too. But with that said, I think we've covered all of the ground that I was hoping to cover today. I mean, Doonebug, you were truly like, I think you were incredibly deserving of the title, the best battler in the world, as the holder of many titles, the first ever Go Battle League legend, the second ever Silph Arena World Champion. I mean, you're truly incredible, and watching you battle has just been an absolute pleasure. And I'm really hoping that we get to see some more battles from you going forward. So, I mean, even I know you do like to keep your strategies down a little bit, so that maybe at the end of the month, once you've finished all of your ranked tournaments, we can see some more Doonebug footage showing its way into some places going forward, because it's really fun to watch.
I agree.
Yeah, actually,
it was a fun, very fun season to be a part of, and I'm excited to see what's to come next.
As are we all. I mean, I wanted to say thank you for coming on for a start. I know we've got there eventually, and really just thank you for putting on such a show for Worlds, because truly good stuff. And I wishing you the best of luck for all of your battles in the future. Looking forward to maybe giving you a bit more of a challenge as time goes on. Again, you've got that target on your back. You'll have to defend that crown. People are going to be coming for you. Silph Arena hasn't said anything yet where there's going to be. I know in season 3 there was a badge that you got whenever you faced one of the Continental champions. Obviously now you've hit the World Championship without getting the Continental Championship. So we'll see if, I'm assuming that there's going to be a similar badge for facing Doonebug.
That would be nice for people who do get the chance to play and learn from you.
Yeah, consolation prize. Hey, you're probably lost 3
hours. You're tuning my horn for me.
Doonebug actually asked me to be here. He was like, okay, I really need my ego boosted even more than it is now that I'm world champion. Can you please come on and just sing my praises for an hour and a bit? And I was like, yes, Doonebug, I will do that for you. And that's what's brought us here. But seriously, Horn does deserve to be tooted, just for the record. You're truly incredible battle, and I'm really looking forward to what you do next. But before we head off here, do you want to kind of give any shout outs to anything you'd like to, where we can find Doonebug after this stream?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Doonebug97. And I would just love to thank all my Mazer teammates for helping me prepare for every tournament that I've competed in since I joined the team. You guys have been the best teammates ever. And also want to thank Boston PvP Arena and Northeast Battlers for all the millions of practice battles not millions, but you know what I mean. For all the practice battles that they've done with me. The people in those servers have done with me to help prepare for each monthly cup. I'll never forget where I got my start from, and those 2 servers were my starting point, basically.
Imagine where it would be if you didn't take that 1 hour drive to that first Boulder Cup 2.5 years ago.
I know. I don't know where it would be without PvP, honestly.
Well, not here. In this video that you have to remember to hit the like and subscribe button on and stuff. But yeah, seriously, I'll put whatever links Doonebug tells you to put in the description below. Click them all, every single one of them. Thanks for coming on again, Doonebug, and good luck in season 4 coming incredibly soon.
Thank you for having me, Steve. It was a pleasure to be on.
And hopefully we can talk more in the future as well as the season goes.
Hopefully in person next time, please. I can't say that enough. Hopefully in person.
I've been saying it for a while. I was intending to come over there last year, and obviously those plans got cancelled a little bit. So hopefully soon I can come up there and say good day to everyone, but time will tell.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, I'll we can't raid or anything here, so we'll just kind of
No.
end it off. So I'll do the classic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, press that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.